Business Spotlight, brought to you by Cross Rhythms and Baba Baboon.
I'm Sonya Farrell. This is Business Spotlight in partnership with Cross Rhythm City Radio and Baba Baboon. Joining me in the studio this week, we've got the lovely Claire Leigh, who's from Brampton Recruitment. Hello, Claire.
Hello, Sonya.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you very much.
Good. Brampton Recruitment, Claire, I believe you've just celebrated actually 20 years in business, which is absolutely amazing. So first of all, congratulations on that as well and that journey. But that's what I want to come on to is, how did it all start, Brampton Recruitment, all those years ago?
I'd kind of fallen into a HR role when I was younger. Funnily enough, I started temping at a business and then the role changed into HR. And the part of HR that I loved the most was the recruitment side. So eventually I found my path to a recruitment consultant role and worked for somebody else, but I was working out of the area. So it was suggested to me to open my own business. It wasn't even my idea.
Oh, wow.
So I did. I thought, wow, well, we'll give it a go. And that was at the beginning of 2006. So to think back that was 20 years ago when, you know, it feels like it was maybe, 8-9 years ago from a time point of view. It's quite strange, but it's definitely been the best choice to make, and it's been a huge journey.
I mean, most businesses, you know, Claire, what you just mentioned there, most businesses that have been onto Business Spotlight, when I ask some of them how they started their business journey, they say whether it was they decided they could go and make their own money because they were doing it for somebody else, or they wanted a different challenge and this, that and the other. But to have somebody suggest to you and to give you that, I don't know what would be what's more, I'd say daunting, because it could have been at the time. But is it, you know, how did you feel? Do you remember how that felt when someone actually suggested for you and could see that you could actually go and do your own thing? How did it feel?
I'd got to a point, because I'd been in recruitment a long time, and I'd got to a point where I was a little bit jaded, and it came up to the Christmas break and I was like, I'm not enjoying this anymore. And it was kind of like, the question was, what are you not enjoying? Are you not enjoying the recruitment? Are you not enjoying where you're working? And that's where it came from, really, because I turned around and I said, well, if I don't do this, you know, I am good at recruitment. What do I do? So it was a kind of, that was the thing. So that's why somebody said, well, why don't you open your own? And it was kind of like, yeah, that's bringing the fire back. That's bringing the excitement back into it for me. And that was the challenge. And I'm quite an introvert person. I am naturally shy. So it was a very personal challenge for me to overcome elements of that. And I haven't lost that. I've still got that. I mean, coming here today petrifies me. But you know what they say about doing something that scares you every day. So it was kind of like, right, where do I start? And the buzz that I just got from taking that first step and making those first few phone calls and the first temp vacancy that I got, and I still get that buzz today. I've been work this morning and I've had 3 new jobs in, and I'm like, it's Christmas because I've won that new business and people have trusted me to do that piece of work for them. So it's something that's never gone away, and it's never gone boring or never gone sort of matter as fact. It's just something that does still excite me every day.
And, you know, that's, again, lovely to hear as well. And you can see that passion in your face, Claire. And, you know, when you talk about, if you can still enjoy it and you can still have that love for it and that fire in your belly, like you say, whether you get a new job in or anything like that, and pushing yourself through comfort zones, whether today is one of them, coming into Business Spotlight, but you've done it. So again, you know, opportunities, I suppose, come, don't they, if you keep pushing yourself as well.
Yeah, that's it. Every day's a school day. And there's things that you have to practice all the time to keep your skill there. You know, your public speaking, you're getting up at networking events to talk to people that you've never met before. You're walking up to strangers and trying to introduce yourself and learn more. And that's one of the things that always scares me. parts of the job I really enjoy, going out to see the clients.
Yep.
Because I get to learn about their business.
Yep.
I love going to engineering businesses, manufacturing businesses. I love to see things being made. I love the area that we're in, potteries. Anything to deal with the heritage of I'm proud of that, and I like that we can support those type of businesses. But then it's great when there's a new business coming to the area that's going to bring lots of jobs.
Yeah.
That's going to add that that extra bit of come to Stoke-on-Trent, come to Newcastle-on-Tyne, come to Staffordshire.
Yeah.
We've got so much to offer. So it's nice to be part of that in a small way.
And that actually leads me on then to something else I did want to ask you about, because you are a local business. You've grew your business, in the local area and everything. And when you just mentioned there, whether it's manufacturing, other businesses that you go into, or learning about the pottery, the heritage and everything, I mean, how important, or should I say, let's phrase it another way, in your experience of having a business locally, how have you found it?
It's been tough at times. Looking back now, it's kind of like you didn't realise it at the time, but we were a really new business in 2006. We just opened. 2008 was when the recession came.
Yeah.
But we just got through it. It was just, you didn't, had I been a more experienced business, I think I probably would have worried about it more.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those learning curves that we got through, and it's something that you can't learn from anywhere else. Very much like the COVID, you've got to get through it somehow.
Yeah.
And looking back on that, it's like it's just continuous learning all the time. Now I'm still learning things. Legislation and how to look after the team, different things that are happening in the market. So it's a learning curve from there.
And then just going on to that, how many staff have you got now, Claire, just to ask?
There's 8.
There's 8.
8 now, yeah.
And from starting again on your own, how did you find the process, in going through that strategy? Something I'm quite interested in personally, I'll be totally honest, but how did you go through that as well? And other businesses who are out there who are sort of, whether they're starting out, perhaps maybe interested in this, and how you grow a team. How do you do that? How do you get started?
It's hard. I found it really hard as well, and that's why I think we have great empathy for those businesses, because it's growing pains. For a small business that might be 1 or 2 people, or a husband and wife company, you've got to that part where your business is growing. It's great. It's exciting. You need to bring that person in. Yeah. This business is your baby. This person is your family. You probably think about this business more than some people in your family sometimes. So it's that trust issue. And personally, how we recruit is very much, it's values based, because we are a values based company. And it's about finding those people that are on that right wavelength, that can come in and that want to take the business as it's part of their family as well. Yeah. And that's probably why we haven't grown like some of the other agencies that have opened up after us into national businesses, because that's never what I wanted really. Yep. So it's finding those people that can think the same way as us. In recruitment, it's infamous for having a high turnover of staff. You can get burnout. It's really stressful sometimes. But there's a lot of the highs are either through the roof and the lows are really going through the floor when they happen. But I think in terms of growing a business and moving with that, that's what you've got to look at. You've got to have a think about what you're looking for in a person, what's important for you, for that person, and it just comes down to personality. Yeah, it's finding that person that you connect with and you can click with, and especially for your first recruitment, when you are growing your business, that's what you've got to look for, and then it kind of does get a little bit easier. I mean, don't get me wrong, you might kiss a few frogs before you find the right person. Yeah. But sometimes it's having that, the wrong fill for the role that makes you realise and understand what's more the right fit for you. Yeah. And if, somebody out there who's perhaps looking to recruit, whether they have already got staff
or, you know, they're just starting out on the, like you say, whether they've got one member of staff or they've got 10, or, you know, they've never used like anybody to help them with that recruitment process. How is a recruiter then? What would a business expect, should I say, if they're going to, you know, a recruitment agency? What should they expect on what they need to be saying on how to get the best candidate?
Okay. Well, what would be good for a business is to expect to spend some time with the agency, because that's really important. If you can invest, you know, even just an hour with the agency to be able to invite them onto premises so they can see the business, they can see, you know, it's just little things, little details that can help the agency then explain to a candidate. But they can get a feel for the culture of the business. They can get a feel for, you know, how everything works, and, you know, even like, this is where you've got to park when you come on site. To then, the recruiter will ask a series of questions, you know, tell me all about the role, what's important in the role, what's the most important thing you're looking for in an individual, and gain all that information. The employer might have a job description. They might have a person spec that they can give to the agency. If so, that's fabulous. But depending on the size of the business, you know, that's a HR side of, you might not have the capacity for somebody to have the time to do that. An agency can help you write that, because from the questions that they ask you, they'll formulate that for you, and they will use that as their base to try and find the right person. So it's about getting all of that information together. As much time and as much information you can give the recruitment consultant, they are going to then be able to find you that right person.
And does it vary, you know, from role to role and, say, sector to sector? Does it vary quite a lot? I mean, I know you can't always put a time on it, but does it vary on the actual timeline from starting that recruitment process to actually getting somebody fulfilled, you know, in the role?
It does. It varies greatly, depending on the role, depending on the skills. Some people are looking for unicorns that take a little bit longer to find. Some roles, you know, we've turned around in a matter of days, because it's about having the right person at the right time. So we as a business, we're constantly recruiting. Excuse me. We're constantly registering new candidates to find out what the candidates are looking for, that we can then match with the roles. So sometimes that happens straight away. Sometimes we might register a candidate and not have anything that's right for them for quite some while. But if it's coming to the right, if it's timing, then it can happen quite quickly. Other roles that we've got, you know, we've got some roles sometimes that are really quite technical or quite niche in what they're looking for. They might be looking for a specific software package that's, you know, for example, CAD. They might need AutoCAD or SolidWorks, but to a certain level, and we haven't got candidates that have got that. Or it could be different accountancy software packages. So it's just finding what the client needs in terms of, you know, if they say, well, we need someone that's got 5-6 years experience because they're going to be managing this, then it's just then we're very proactive in going out and looking for that. So sometimes we can fill jobs. I mean, we have been known to fill like a temp job. If I've got the right temporary staff ready to go out, I can fill a job. The job can come in and we can fill it straight away. The person can start the next day. Permanent roles can take longer, just depending on the requirements and the needs of the employer.
And then over the years, like we've mentioned, you know, 20 years, you know, in business as well for Brampton Recruitment. But what have you, and you might not have anything, you know, particularly to stand out, but you may do. How have you seen, again, how the recruitment process has changed, and are organisations, you know, the different businesses that you've come across, are they looking at things differently on how to recruit? Again, when you've talked about values and everything there and finding the right client, but have you seen any sort of trends that have come about over the last sort of 5 to 10 years or the last couple of years?
Gosh, the recruitment landscape has changed beyond recognition, you know, and the Sentinel, you know, it used to be on a Wednesday was jobs night. So we'd gear up from a recruitment point of view. We would be looking at that, what businesses are recruiting, right? So we know who's recruiting there. From a candidate point of view, it would be buy that paper, write your letter, post it off, you know, occasionally there would be an email address.
Yeah.
Sometimes it would be an application form. It was heavily paper-based, and it was so much slower, the process, because it only happened on one evening a week. So then it's been the introduction of, a lot more's gone online now.
Yep.
You've got all these job boards now that weren't around. It makes me sound dead old, and I know I was only like late teens when I opened the business. That's all come full circle. So the pace of recruitment has gone really fast. The needs of businesses has gone different. There's a lot more AI now.
Yeah.
But what we're seeing as an agency is it's quite easy to spot, and I'm part of a HR forum as well, and speaking to all the HR professionals, it's quite easy to spot an AI generated CV.
Yep.
So there's lots of that kind of technology has come about, and a little bit of feedback, from a candidate point of view is sometimes we'll ring a candidate and we'll go, oh, you've applied for this role with us via the job boards, and they can't remember applying for it because it's just so click happy now. I'll apply for everything that's going because I need a job. But it's good to be specific, and it's good to know what you're applying for, really. But so the volume of candidates coming through is a lot higher but then it's not necessarily the quality, because they are just applying for everything that they can do. And I think that's why coming to an agency helps so much more, because the volume of people coming for a role is greater, but the need to weed out the good ones is greater as well.
Yeah, and like you say, you see, or even on things like LinkedIn and different platforms and everything, they have their own job section and different things, don't they? So I suppose it's quite easy, like you say, for somebody to just instantaneously, to get the words out, to just click on and just apply, but not really thinking about what they're applying for, perhaps. Yeah.
Well, that's it. Once we've explained, sometimes once we've explained a job, the candidate's like, oh, well, no, that's not really what I was after. Well, that's fine. Let's have a chat, though. Let's find out what you are after. Might have something else for you instead. So that's what we do.
Claire, before you go, I'm just going to ask you, if you can, to maybe give us 3 top tips on what somebody who is looking to recruit should maybe, even if it's something you've already mentioned, but to maybe be aware of or should be looking for if they are going to be looking to recruit any new staff, should I say, in the next few months.
Okay. Well, first top tip is do some preparation. So put together a job description, put together a person spec of what you think you want. I know that you want to get the ball rolling and just start recruiting for somebody, but if you can do that and you've got consistency, that is great, because not only do you need that as a document that you can benchmark all the candidates forward, it also helps you to write your job advert for what you want, and that is important. It's also important from the candidate side, because the candidate can then see, don't forget that if you're looking to recruit, but you're also selling your job to a potential new employee, you want that person to want that job. So the preparation that you do at that time, if they request it and they ask for a job description and a person spec, you want to be able to be seen that you're organised enough, that you're professional enough to be able to supply that to them so that they can have a look at that. Yeah. And that also helps you when you think you found the people that you want to interview, that will also help you to prepare your interview questions. In terms of what you are looking for and how to sort of go across that. And what you need to do is try and be consistent and ask the same questions. Obviously, it'll always go off on a tangent if the interview's going well, because you just want it to be chatty, but you want to make sure that you can cover all the same points for each person that you see, so that you can benchmark each person and measure who you want for the role against other people, because you've asked the same questions.
Claire, thank you so much for coming in our Business Spotlight. I hope you've enjoyed it and it wasn't too daunting for you for a new challenge today.
It was wonderful, and like I said, I'll probably be back again if you'll have me.
No problem. That's Claire Leigh from Brampton Recruitment here on Business Spotlight with me, Sonya Farrell.
Business Spotlight, shining a light on our local business community. Brought to you by Cross Rhythms and Baba Baboon.